Welcome into the Triple Play Fantasy Football Show. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome into another episode of the Triple Play Fantasy Football Show, a proud member of Fantasy Points and the Fantasy Points Media Group. Reminder, use code... Oh, Johnny's very close.
I was changing a light.
Whoa, right in the middle of my ad read. Reminder to use code TriplePlay22 to get 10% off everything over at fantasypoints.com.
You remembered to do it because I stuck my face in there. It paused you too much from running past it.
That's exactly it. So you were helping me. You didn't even realize it. But yeah, use code TriplePlay22, get 10% off over at fantasypoints.com. All the great tools over there. They have some DFS optimizer tools, research tools where you can check out targets. You can check out usage overall for players. So many things that can help you win some money, whether you like betting, you like DFS, or just your regular season long leagues. They have everything you need over at fantasypoints.com. Back with you guys tonight for week 12 of fantasy football season. We are in the home stretch, boys. Playoffs begin in 2 weeks.
By.
Yeah, it always does. I feel like it always does. And maybe also because the World Cup's on right now.
Woo!
It feels like we're winding down. Johnny, have you watched all the World Cup action you can handle?
I didn't watch the Argentina-Saudi Arabia game. 5 o'clock's just a little bit too early for me. But
5 a.m. was on?
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to miss much, but I did.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Brad, have you watched a lot too?
I have, and I caught the Argentina one this morning, and it was, I'm not as well versed in soccer as Johnny. I pretty much just got into it these past couple of years, but I know that they have Messi and they have a lot of other Champions League players and Premier League players, and Saudi Arabia had no one. So it was pretty crazy to see them dominate like they did.
I wish I could tell you I knew what that was about, but I have no idea.
Yeah, David, me and you got FOMO. Maybe we drop baseball and we pick up soccer.
Apparently, like a large portion of the Saudi Arabia team plays together on their same club level. So that really helps with their organization and just being able to stand up against Argentina with a defensive shape.
They also just had like a crazy motor. Like I was shocked to see how well they were running, like from minute 1 all the way to 90. It was just crazy to see none of them get tired.
Well, as much as I would love to keep talking World Cup, you know how much I love soccer. We are talking some football tonight. And before we get into week 12, let's just go back to week 11 for a second. And let's give our wow moment. What's something that kind of stuck out to you from week 11 as we go forward into week 12? Doc, let's start with you.
Yeah, so my wow moment, we go to the Jets, who are likely going to move on from Zach Wilson. If it's not this year, the year after. Like, in no resemblance does he look like the franchise quarterback. And I was thinking, David, you and I probably started following NFL in 2005. The Jets haven't had a franchise quarterback in that time.
They had Geno.
Geno started 2 years, but they had Chad Pennington towards the end of his career, Brett Favre for a year, Mark Sanchez for 3, Geno for 2, Fitzpatrick for 2, McCown for 1, Darnold for 3.
Oh, you did research on this.
Wilson for 2.
Yeah, you had research on that.
I did.
I will say, I guess before I say, I have a quick question here. Michael says, I don't think I've seen you in the chat before, Michael. Welcome. Hey, guys, should I trade Olave, Antonio Gibson, and Gabe Davis for Alvin Kamara?
Way too much.
But these are all depth pieces for him.
It doesn't matter. You need depth.
You need depth, and Kamara isn't the RB1 you drafted him to be.
I don't like trading Olave. So maybe if you could trade a different player, like I would be okay trading Gibson and Davis, but I would maybe not Olave. Like if there's somebody else.
If Robinson gets hurt, Antonio Gibson becomes an RB1 across, all leagues. Like, Yeah, no, absolutely. He's going to get all the carries. J.D. McKissick is out. He'd get all the third down work. He's a workhorse if that ever happens. So I've given up all that for and Gabe Davis and wide receiver for Alvin Kamara. I don't know. It seems like a lot to me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Our guy Rig checking in as he always does. Our guy, happy Tuesday. Doc, to your point though about Zach Wilson, I put a question out the other day. I didn't actually it was to somebody else that was asking a question, but is it realistic that we could see Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, or even Aaron Rodgers for the Jets next year?
Rodgers,
because they're not going to be in position to draft a top quarterback in the draft this year. So they might have to go that route. And would that be an attractive enough place to be able to get someone like Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr?
The big thing about Aaron Rodgers, the team's going to have to take on that salary, and the Jets can.
Right now, it was reported today that he thinks he has a broken finger. So that could explain why he's been not quite Aaron Rodgers level of play.
Excuses.
That's fair. I mean, what does he win? 4 MVPs?
Yeah.
Something like.
Yeah.
I'll
give him
threw
that wobbly ball against the Titans on Thursday night. That was kind of like the nail in the coffin when he underthrew Lazard. That's my first thing is he had a broken finger.
Yeah, I think there could be something behind that.
Sound like LeBron, Eric.
Yeah. Wow, that's hilarious. So Rick is actually touching on what we're talking about now. Our biggest wow moment, our biggest surprise of the last weekend, Doc, was the New York Jets quarterback situation. How it sounds like it's going to keep being a revolving door there. Brad, do you have one?
Yeah, kind of along the same lines. It's really the Eagles. They don't look like that dominant team that they were the first 8 games of the season. It appears like all you have to do is run the ball on them, and they're gonna fold. Like the Colts barely lost that game this past week, and that could have been 2 back-to-back losses against teams that they're better than. So, my wow moment was just seeing how beatable the Eagles are.
I will say that Jordan Davis not being there is probably a big deal because it's coincided since he's been out that they've been basically gashed up the middle.
That's true, but he doesn't have. It's not like he's playing like 80% of the snaps there. Like he gets rotated in and out a lot.
But I think he gets rotated out mostly on passing down, like third downs. I think he's in there on a lot of first and second downs. But it's definitely something to be concerned about if you're an Eagles fan. They haven't looked like the same team.
They need Dallas Goedert back.
They do. He's out for at least another 3 years. John, do you have one?
I was just wonderfully surprised and wowed by the great kicker weeks we had last week. I think there was like 4 or 5 around 20 points, outscoring your running backs, outscoring your wide receivers from a position you don't care about. Love when that impacts playoff standings for fantasy.
2 kickers got 20 plus points last week. That's insane.
Money Mac had 17.
Exactly. It was just a great week all around. If you had a kicker, you were doing well. If you had a good kicker, rather.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty crazy. Rick says, mine was Jeff Saturday should have played Jonathan a bit more down the stretch. Jonathan Taylor had the Eagles on the ropes like a Mike Tyson punch. Shout out to our TBF question for our guest. Yeah.
It's a good point, Rick.
I'm with you for sure. And Michael says, thanks, guys. I just have one more question. Do you guys think that OBJ is worth a stash, or am I just wasting a roster spot?
You're wasting a roster spot.
I don't know about that. I mean, if you have a deep bench, like if you get 7 players for your bench.
David, we're going to have a dialogue. There are 3 weeks left in the fantasy regular season.
Okay.
OBJ said he's not signing till January or till after Thanksgiving. So
Thanksgiving is next week.
So, okay, that's 2 weeks in the regular season. And that means he's going to be 100% up to the playbook. He's a playoff signing.
For the fantasy playoffs.
For the real NFL playoffs. That's why he wants to go to the contender.
Doc.
He's an NFL playoff signing.
I'm with Eric on this one.
I think he's worth it. People are stashing like Darrell Henderson before.
Are you going to dare to start him his first game back? Are you going to dare?
Would you guys rather have rest of season Demarcus Robinson or like
Demarcus Robinson? Demarcus Robinson, wide receiver 1 for the Ravens.
Yeah, for now we thought it was Devin Duvernay weeks ago.
I think Eric brings up a great point that there's a legitimate opportunity that you get OBJ for like 1 game in fantasy.
That's so I by myself that OBJ I think is worth if you have like a 7 player
I'm-
bench that he's worth.
I'm not doubting his talent or that he can affect the game. I don't think he's going to be around. Like, it's just too late in the season.
Okay. Well,
He's
Okay.
making that real playoff push.
this will be the part, and I'll give a pause for a second. This will be the part that you can clip. And then when OBJ wins someone a league or Eric makes an OBJ, pick up OBJ now video, that you could just clip this for the whole video. Because I
Never.
told
Dave,
you earlier.
Dave, there's no chance you would start OBJ if you picked him up.
We're looking at literally 1 week before.
If he goes to the
Bears playoffs
Cowboys,
be the,
if he goes to the
David, who would
Cowboys
you
in that
start?
think about
offense,
starting him.
I could
David,
start him
who
at
would
a
you
flex.
start, Demir Bird or OBJ?
OBJ.
Well, why do you have Demir Bird?
I was just thinking of someone obscure that could go off.
I'm with Eric on that one, though. Demir Bird is I know he's at least going to play 70% of snaps.
Yeah, with Kyle Pitts out now too, maybe they go more 3 wide.
I don't know.
Mhm.
And Riggs says, Red, we have the same record in fantasy football. Yikes. But check out my points scored. Brad, Rick just comes in here every week and just poops on all your fantasy teams.
Point scored does not matter. We have the same record. In the end, I'm going to come out on top. Don't worry, Rick.
That's funny. And a water bet, 49ers versus Eagles. Who'll be the last one standing in the playoffs? I think them and the Cowboys have to be the 3 favorites for the NFC.
So, David, you and I were in a group chat today. I think this is the year the Cowboys come out of the NFC.
Remember not too long ago,
Really?
Eric was saying the 49ers season was over, which he does
Yep.
every year after like 3 weeks.
He
Yeah, and then we keep trading our future draft picks.
You're
to try
such a
and save it.
pessimistic fan. I never hear you excited about them. It's always like
Eric,
John
I
Lynch.
I did bet under on a bunch of
It's John
Steelers.
Lynch sucks. Jimmy Garoppolo is trash. Why did we
And-
trade for 4 draft picks for
A quarter
a
way
running
through
back?
the season,
Yeah, like,
Eric says season's over, shut it down. We should tank for a draft pick, and then they go and make it. To
Oh wait, I never said tank for a draft pick because we don't have one.
In all seriousness, though, the 49ers looked great last night. It was really cool seeing them use the run like that and seeing, Garoppolo basically just have to, check it down and get all that yak. And he was just making some great throws too. What did you think
That-
about that, Eric? Do you think they can actually
That
win
was
it?
his best game as a 49er. And he played a good game. He played
He
a great
did.
game.
That's funny because
Does it give you confidence, or do you think it's like a lucky game?
Well, to go to the Cowboys' point, they're the team I'm most worried about them facing in the NFC because they have a similar kind of script to the 49ers where they can run the ball really effectively now with Tony Pollard and Zeke kind of being a 1-2 with Zeke being the 2. They play really good defense, and I know maybe they need that second wide receiver, and that's where OBJ comes in. But if they have a lead, I don't think that you can overtake it against them.
that's fair. Kevin's in the chat. Cowboys and Eagles fans does not have kind words for those Eagle fans. You can check out his viral tweet
It's a
about
family
Nick.
show. We got to
You
take
can
that
check out his
comment down.
viral tweet about Nick Sirianni and see how he feels about the Eagles. Brunson in the chat. What's up, Brunson? I don't know if I've seen Brunson around here. So welcome into the show. Do I trade Zeke for Amari Cooper or Mike Evans?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
That's
Are you
actually a
thinking
great
about it?
question.
I think this is a smash.
That's a smash.
I love my running backs. I don't know. Amari Cooper has been terrible on the road except for this past week.
Well, how many home
Mike
games
Evans
do you
is
think they
always
have
getting
left?
hurt. Yeah. I don't know. That's a tough one for me. I think
Zeke was
I do.
salvaged by 2 touchdowns, though.
Yeah.
And he's always going to get that goal line work.
Well, no, Pollard got it first, and he couldn't get in on the first 2, and then they put in Zeke. But
That's
also,
true. You're-
Cowboys aren't
you're
going
right
to
about
score
that.
40 every game.
Yeah.
So do you want to
I
hear
think
their schedule?
I think I lean
So with
Cooper.
Amari Cooper, home versus Tampa Bay, at Houston, at Cincinnati, and then the fantasy playoffs is versus Baltimore, versus New Orleans, at Washington. So he gets 2 out of 3 for the fantasy playoffs.
And he'll have Watson for those.
Well, are we
I don't know.
upgrading Amari Cooper now that Deshaun Watson comes back? Are we
That too
upgrading
could
him?
be.
I think so.
I think so.
And
Would you
he's
guys
doing-
rather
I
have
don't
Amari
know how
Cooper
much
or
of an
Mike
upgrade
Evans?
it'll be.
That's a tough stretch in the playoffs, though, for Cooper.
The Texans?
No, for the fantasy playoffs, you said.
Yeah, I think he
he's
plays
got
the
the
Texans,
Saints.
and Saints and Washington. I'd say 2 out of those 3 are pretty good.
Yeah, I'm going Mike Evans. Never trust Amari Cooper in big games.
All right,
I think
Mike.
I think I lean Cooper.
Johnny, do you have a preference?
I'd go Evans.
I'd go Evans too.
Sorry, Cooper.
If I'm going down swinging, I'm going down with Evans. Ray says, "Shout out to your boy Mariota. You can still carry Atlanta to the division."
We flip flop on Mariota every week. He's good game, bad game, good game, bad game.
Yeah, he's been pretty interesting. From Saif, I think I said that right.
Jeez.
That's his full team. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you can see his team: Geno, Chubb, Barkley, Jamar Chase, Hollywood, Jerry Jeudy, Pat Fryermuth, DPJ, Deonta Foreman, Cordell Patterson, Raheem Mostert, and MVS. On a 3-game losing streak and need to make some trades, who should I get and trade away? I think it's easier to do who you should do trade away because it's really hard without context of other teams to see who you could get for who here. I would say right now, no one's trading for Raheem Mostert because he's now been relegated to the backup role. And if you're in any type of competitive league, most people can see that. MVS is completely useless. I don't think he's even worth a roster spot, honestly, at this point. Maybe you could get
useless.
Oh yeah, MVS is completely useless. Like he is. If you have him, you need to drop him and pick up somebody else for that roster spot.
Huh?
No.
I mean, just
You pick up OBJ, huh? Yeah.
I mean, let's take a look at this for a second. Before I get back to the rest of this question. You had Juju Smith-Schuster out, you had Kadarius Toney out, and you had Mecole Hardman out. You had those 3 guys coming in as the top 3 wide receiver pass catchers this year for the team. They're all out, and he still does nothing. He is legit.
Why did
garbage.
you sign him then?
That's based on matchups though. Like Kelsey had, I was looking at the PFF score before the game most recently, and he had a 60% advantage. You don't see that. Like that's huge. So it got exploited. Like I think if they need to throw downfield, I don't think MVS is useless.
Would you rather have a roster spot for OBJ who's not on a team than MVS? He says,
"Give me MVS or give me OBJ, baby."
You can see why I'm talking about MVS.
Let me ask you guys this: how many targets do you think he got in that Chargers game?
3.
I pulled it up as 4.
You already pulled it up?
Yeah.
He got 4 targets in a game where he's the number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah, David.
For that team. Sky Moore had 7 catches going into that game, and he had 5 catches in that game. If that doesn't,
but he also had 4 targets the week before, and he got 12 points. So I think you're looking at the bad.
The only consistent target share on that team from week to week is Kelsey, and like that's really all you. Before Juju he got hurt, he came on late, but he wasn't in the beginning of the season.
To be fair, MVS says he doesn't care about fantasy football. So maybe Mahomes is like, fine, we won't give you stats. We'll just have you blocking and being the decoy.
He has 47 targets and 1 touchdown this season.
I'll put it like this. If he was on the waiver wire, I'd pick him up. I don't think he's useless.
So we're going back to his question of who
really quick. Let's go back to the question.
I would trade either Jamar Chase or Marquise Brown. Probably Jamar Chase because you'll get more for him.
They're both hurt though.
But if he's on a 3-game losing streak and somebody can stash them for the playoffs, kind of like that depth question the first person gave us.
Chase could come back any week.
Yeah. You can't keep two of the injured people there. Or you're not going to get much for Judy.
I trade
the only person I'd trade off of this one is probably Cordell Patterson.
Yep.
I think he's got the most he's kind of polarizing. People love him, and then people think he can't be trusted, really. I'm on the latter part of that, and I think he's got some good value depending on who you ask. And you already have Chubb and Barkley, so
would you trade Saquon if you could get a 2-for-1 in this?
No. I would. If I could get a haul, heck yeah, I would.
But you need a running back. Like, who would your starting running back be?
Let's say for him, you can get
Alvin. What if you could get Alvin Kamara and
Pacheco and Olave for Barkley? Would you do that?
No, I would not do that.
No.
What about Alvin Kamara and Amon-Ra St. Brown?
I'd rather have Pacheco.
Yeah, I might do Kamara and St. Brown.
That's what I'm saying.
I feel like I'm low on Kamara because of the extracurricular stuff, but
I think that.
You told me he was going to get suspended.
I thought he was.
I think it might be a hot topic.
He hasn't.
But I think Barkley might, with the way the Giants are constructed right now, losing another receiver.
That's
and
what
then
I'm
they might
saying.
start and they might start losing games. I think his value is
That's
going to go
fair.
down a little bit.
That's a good
Are you
point.
guys worried about Joe Mixon? Pirine might take more touches from down the stretch.
Consistently worried about Mixon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
For some reason, he's always good in the fantasy playoffs.
Yeah, he is. He has a
He's
concussion
not
right now.
consistent. He's good for a 30-point outburst and then get you like 5 to 10 the rest of the way.
Wait, speaking of concussions, this wasn't a question asked. Do you think Matthew Stafford's career is over?
I heard someone say that today. I don't think so.
I've been thinking that for a while.
And he hasn't looked great this year, injury aside.
The Rams are going to go through a huge rebuild. Like Aaron Donald will probably retire. There's a good chance McVay leaves. Like Cooper Kupp will probably be 100%, but like they don't have any draft picks this year, really.
Didn't Donald just sign a new deal?
He can opt out after 1 year though.
And
players can opt out at any point. So
Yeah, they can opt out whenever. It's just I don't think he'd leave all that on the table.
I heard too, they said McVay is adamantly saying he doesn't want to go out of coaching like this. Like he wants to go out, like he doesn't want to go out basically being a loser. He wants to like go out on his terms. So like,
yeah,
it sounds
he's
like
so young. It's so crazy to me that he's talking about going out on his terms.
They should trade him. They should trade him to a contender and get some draft picks that way.
That's not crazy, Eric. I like that.
An old school coach trade. I love it.
And Brad, you do have MVS. That's why
I do. That's why I was on him.
But yeah, I think this was a very interesting week this past week. We saw a lot of injuries. We saw players kind of rising from the woodworks here. James Cook, shout out to Doc's most recent video on the YouTube channel, 11 carries for over 80 yards. And maybe he could be looking to split this backfield with Devin Singletary down the stretch.
Before we go into betting, what do you guys think about Lamar Jackson the rest of the season?
God, it's tough.
He hasn't been a top 10 quarterback since week 2, I believe.
Nope.
It's tough because they're so decimated at the receiving options. Like Andrew still isn't 100%. Obviously, Bateman's out for the year. Like Duvernay, I don't think you could ever really count on as. I don't put it on Lamar as much. It's just there has been so many injuries around him, no consistency at the running back position. Like that team would not be leading the division if it wasn't for Lamar.
It's crazy to me. Like there's so many young quarterbacks that we've seen take huge steps when they had just a surefire number one receiver like Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. And it's like, I just wonder what Lamar could do with somebody he could just some guy that's like 6'5", runs a 4.4, and you just throw the ball up to him and he can just get 50-50 balls. Like he's never had that.
Which wide receiver is going to be disgruntled that the Ravens could potentially go after?
I don't know.
I can't think of
maybe
Michael Thomas. The Saints cut him.
After Brandon Cooks.
List him there, though.
He's not surefire number one anymore. Michael Thomas. Brandon Cooks
or
small.
DJ Moore.
No, the Panthers
kind of small.
Panthers aren't trading him.
It's crazy to me that they couldn't make a deal for DJ Moore at the trade deadline. It seemed too much on a platter to send him to the Ravens.
Apparently, they wanted to have some talent to keep to build around.
Maybe Mike Evans, because it sounds like Tom Brady might go to San Francisco after this year.
Where did that come from? Is that true?
Yeah,
have you not seen those rumblings?
No, Brad's creating rumors out here.
No, who was it? It was Brad. It wasn't Florio. It was somebody else, right?
No, it wasn't Florio. I've heard it a lot though.
I heard Cristiano Ronaldo is going to come to the MLS.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. Let's talk about a little bit betting before we get out of here. We got 3 games for Thursday that we can actually look at.
You got to remind the people that they should gamble responsibly and legally.
Can you give our disclaimer?
Yeah, it needs to be done legally and responsibly. Of course, there's tons of organizations that can get you help if you feel you need it. Also, we're not liable for any picks you may make. Everything we do is really for a hobby and entertainment. That's it.
Shout out to FanDuel
nice.
too, because they when I deposited yesterday, they were like, "You've deposited X amount. We just want to make sure you realize if you need to call help, this is the number for gamblers."
No free plugs, David. You just happen to use them. We don't particularly support them over any other brand.
That's right.
Unless
Until
you
they
guys want to
sponsor
start
us.
giving us money.
We might have to make something happen. I know someone that works at FanDuel that's come on the show.
Yeah. Now it's legal in Maryland now, so we might have to.
Let's see what we can do. All right, first game, Buffalo minus 9.5 against the Detroit Lions at Detroit. Do we
I'm taking
like
the Lions.
you like the Lions plus 9.5 there, Brad?
Yeah, that's way too big with the way Allen's
I
been
like the
playing.
Bills. They just played in Detroit, so they're used to it.
I was
That's
going
a
to say,
good
I
one.
like the Bills because they don't have to travel. I feel like traveling on a short week is really tough, but the fact that they can just stay in Detroit.
Do we like the over
way-
under of 54.5?
I like
I'll
the
take that
over.
over.
Yeah.
I like the under on that. I think
feel like Thanksgiving
I
games
think
are high
Detroit's going to
scoring.
have a tough time keeping up.
Thanksgiving games are pretty high scoring. All right, let's.
I'll tell you
let's look
what. I know I'm going Jamal Williams with an anytime touchdown for sure.
Yeah, Doc, you didn't make your bet.
I know. I'm going to see what the odds for Jamal Williams 2+ touchdowns are.
Anytime touch,
It's
well,
gonna
That's not
turn
crazy.
into DeAndre Swift's injuries fully healed. He's getting the work again.
here's
Justin
the
Jackson
anytime
got still
touchdown.
wouldn't.
too.
These are the anytime touchdown scorer props. So we like to get juicy here.
Dude, I feel like
Jamal
Singletary
Williams is
has
plus money there.
crazy odds.
That's
It's
crazy,
even money.
man. He's leading the league in touchdowns.
because
very-
everybody thinks he's used him up for the season. Like, there's no way he can
Yeah.
keep it up. Like, he's
Doc
the
James-
opposite
Normally a
of
person thinks that, but not Vegas. Vegas is smart enough to give you minus juice on that.
Doc James Cook plus 180.
He only has one touchdown on there. That's the thing I'm a little bit concerned about. He's not getting the goal line carries yet.
To be fair, I lost a parlay because I did a brothers parlay of him and Dalvin Cook when they played each other, and he got literally pushed out inside the 1 yard line.
Jeez.
It was so stupid. I won't forget that. Naheem Hines at plus 550.
No.
Jared Goff rushing touchdown. Khalil
No.
Shakir plus 900.
I like a Reggie Gilliam at plus 1,300.
Do you really? No, you're just being
No, fullbacks are getting touchdowns this year. Him and Xander Horvath. have like a couple
1,300
first
for a full. That's
touchdowns.
not enough juice for me. For a fullback.
I think that's way better than Naeem Hines.
I like Khalif
Khalif-
Raymond.
Khalif Raymond,
plus
that's a good
390.
one.
Him and Josh Reynolds pretty much pick him at that point.
I know that this is
I like
minus
Khalif
money,
Raymond a
but
lot.
like Diggs is pretty much guaranteed to get a touchdown.
He is.
Yeah, he is for sure.
He would be good to put in a parlay.
Let's
Diggs
go to the
and
next
somebody
Jamal
one.
else.
Williams, you can make some.
Hold on,
Yeah.
We got it. We got another question
Diggs
here
and
before the
Jamal
next game, David. Offered Mostert and Chubb for D-Hop Kamara. Thoughts?
Why?
I think Chubb is too good of a running back to downgrade like that.
Yeah. I wouldn't trade Chubb.
I mean, he definitely is.
I
Mostert
see
is-
why he did it. That's definitely a bit like that's a more even.
If you're really weak at wide receiver, I like that because Kamara is you're starting him and you're probably benching Mostert. Like, and looking at this, you got 2 starters for 1. But I
Yeah.
only like this trade if your wide receiver is really, really weak.
Yeah, if you're set at running back and need wide receivers, I
I
can
think
get
he
behind
put
it
his
too.
roster up earlier.
He might be on a different team though, right? No,
I mean,
you're right. It's
some
the
of
same
us play in
team.
like 9 leagues.
So he has Barkley as his other Barkley, Foreman, Patterson, and Mostert.
Yeah, he
there's
needs help.
Not a lot of
I would do
receivers
it.
there.
I would
He
do
has
it.
Hollywood.
Besides, I mean,
Jamar.
unfortunately, there was receivers at one point with Jamar and Marquise Brown.
But they'll come
But
back
guys-
and he'll be stacked with. But then he might have Hollywood and DeAndre Hopkins.
The only
Yeah,
one he
he's got
has that's
Hollywood
healthy is
and DeAndre.
DPJ and MVS.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I would do it. At the end of the day.
Probably
you're
makes sense.
All right, our other Thursday night game, one of the other ones, the Giants and Cowboys. Giants are 9.5-point dogs in this one. Over under a 45.5. Fellas, what are we
feel like
thinking?
That's a big spread for a divisional game, and the Giants have a good defense.
I like that too. Like, how often
I-
are division games blowouts?
It's fair, but the way the Cowboys have been playing,
Compared to how the Giants just played.
yeah, I think that spread isn't too crazy.
And Rick points out Chubb stock is going up with Deshaun Watson. Same with a lot of the other Browns.
The Cowboys
Yeah.
are interesting in the sense though that they lose to the Packers after the Packers just lost to like the
That's true.
Lions prior, and everybody's like talking bad about them, and then they beat an 8-1 team 40-3. Like that's just the thing is it seems they're inconsistent, but
I like the over 45.5. Do you guys?
no,
No, I don't.
I like the under on that.
Cowboys at home on Thanksgiving, I feel like just will put up 30 points on their own.
I just don't see the Giants scoring much.
Yeah, I think it's a ground and pound game. Try to kill some possession.
And that, like with Michael Parsons, he could spy on Daniel Jones, so we're not going to see that 60-yard run games that he seems to have every week.
Tony Pollard minus 150 for any time touchdown seems too easy.
I mean, there's a lot of minus money touchdowns. Elliott, Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, Saquon are all minus money. Schultz gets you in the plus money there. Again, nothing juicy so far. Maybe up to plus 260.
Darius Slayton at plus 290.
Oh, I do like that.
I'd take Noah Brown at plus 320.
I would take Dak at, what was it, plus 300?
Richie James plus 500, who's now taking the Wan'Dale Robinson role. I actually think that might be my favorite one so far. I know we haven't.
But he's going to have Trayvon Diggs on him
in the slot.
We can't act like Trayvon Diggs is shut down though.
That's fair, but I think
that's actually I think that's more in his favor because Diggs could get a pick or two and then give up a big pass. That's sort of his way he operates.
Yeah, let's do our last game real quick here. Patriots and Vikings. Vikings are 2.5-point favorites here at home, coming off a beatdown against the Cowboys. Over under 42.5. I think I like the under.
Definitely under.
And I like the 2.5 points for the Patriots here.
This could be like a 10-7 game for all we know.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm with you guys on that.
I'll agree too.
I think that we saw the flaw in the Vikings of their offensive line.
Hopefully, I mean, if you're starting Kirk Cousins in a couple leagues like I am, how bad they played, that they're going to get that fixed and come out firing.
You're back to does this count as Kirk Cousins on primetime?
It might be because it's at night. Actually, I'm pretty nervous about that.
Somebody was like, "It's a 4:25 game. How's that primetime?" I was like, "Well, they had Romo calling. There's 3 4:25 games, and the other ones were bad."
The eyes of the nation.
Yeah.
Ramondre Stevenson and Justin Jefferson are plus money, but Dalvin Cook is minus money. That makes no sense to me.
So I feel like it's a Hunter Henry touchdown game.
Oh,
it's Hunter a Damian Harris touchdown game.
Well, let's find those props for you guys.
Yeah, Johnny, he looked great yesterday or last week.
Hunter Henry is plus 440.
I also like Jacoby Myers. He's going a while without a touchdown.
Where's Damian? Did I miss him? I must have missed him.
Yeah, he must be too high up.
There he is, plus 175. He's actually the 4th best odds in this one.
I like his odds better than Stevenson, to be honest.
Yeah. Hunter Henry, obviously Tyquan Thornton, a New England defensive touchdown, maybe. Get to Jalen Reagor.
I like defensive touchdown.
Yeah, what's the odds on New England? I could see Kirk throwing a pick 6 or a fumble
plus
6.
650.
I feel like that's great for a defense.
It's not.
No, I want plus 1,000 or more.
Yeah.
Agreed. And Rick thinks Cousins is bouncing back Mariota style. I'm with it.
Very well?
I would love that. I would be very much ready for that because I'm starting him in Scott Fishbowl and in our home league. Which Brad,
shout out to all of us in Scott Fishbowl.
All the TPF fam. I know us 4. Jacob finished in 5th place in the regular season too.
Jacob killing it.
He did. Shout out to George Kittle for scoring a touchdown at the end of the game to give you the win against me, Brad. Because I woke up this morning and I was like, how did they let him score a touchdown at the end of they were up like 21 points in the 4th
David
quarter.
Still hasn't seen the touchdown.
I haven't. I won't see it. I don't want to see it.
That's pretty wild.
That'll wrap us up here though tonight. Thanks everybody for bringing the questions. As always, if you guys are already not subscribed to the Triple Play Fantasy YouTube channel, make sure you guys are subscribed. And of course, we have a Discord that you can check out. That's in the link in the description. That you can find all our stuff inside the Discord. And of course, you can find all of us on Twitter. The Twitter handles are in the YouTube video right next to our names there. And anything to plug, fellas, before we get on and bounce out of here? Nothing?
No. 'Tis the
Cool.
season.
Brad, friendly reminder, could you one click to start your NBA lineups? You're not even active, bro. I love where it comes in here, just says fix your lineups.
He's right about that. I have not been as active in the NBA one.
That's why I had to cut down with some of the leagues I do, because last year, like for baseball, there
gets wieldy.
There were 3 leagues I forgot to check, and I was like, as much as I loved accepting invites to leagues and people that I'm friends with, I just was like, I'm gonna neglect the league, and it's not gonna be fair to everybody. It's just hard once you get to do too many. And Ray, thank you for checking it out as always, my friend. We appreciate you each and every week. But that will wrap us up here for Doc, for Brad, for Johnny Foosball. I'm D Mendy. We're gonna make like a bread truck and we're gonna haul these buns. Talk to you guys next week. Have a happy Thanksgiving.